Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for being so patient with me while I've been away. Some of you might already know I can't force the readings and something felt really off in the energy and I just couldn't, it just didn't feel like the right time to be doing readings. Like the messages weren't clear. I felt like I needed a break from it. I felt like it was getting too much. So of course, as a reader, I kind of pick up on the energies of the collective. So there could have been something going on collectively that was just making it really tough, like stopping the messages from coming through. I felt like I'd lost my ability to read for a while. I can't explain these things, right? This is something that kind of happened to me, and I just kind of go along with it. So it does feel like my guides are kind of coming back and I'm able to kind of start reading again. So we'll see how it goes. Again, I can't force anything. Um, but this message that's here, it feels a little bit connected to a reading that I tried to do the other day. And that reading had a lot of kind of like Ten of Cups and kind of like happiness and a lot of this kind of like lion energy, like Leo perhaps energy. So if that's resonant in any sort of way, absolutely take that. Hopefully this is a really good sign of things getting better and life improving and kind of like the happiness and the sun coming back into somebody's life, because all those Ten of Cups have kind of turned into these sun cards now. You've got the sun here and the sun here. And the Nine of Cups here, which is interesting because I was thinking about this as I was pulling these cards, this sun energy being kind of like a major arcana version of the Ten of Cups, which the Ten of Cups is kind of like happiness shared with other people. And then the sun is like the most positive card that you could have in the deck. It's like the Ten of Cups amplified. And so I was kind of thinking about this, and then the Nine of Cups came out, and I thought, how strange, because the Nine of Cups is like happiness by yourself, right? It's like feeling fulfilled, feeling like, yes, you can go out, you can have fun with other people. It doesn't mean being alone, but it means not being, it means like being independently happy, like good on your own. And then, you know, if you share that with others, it's like a bonus kind of thing, rather than Ten of Cups where there's definitely other people involved. Yeah, interesting, because it seemed to be almost correcting me, like, no, this is not Ten of Cups, it's Nine of Cups. It's kind of interesting. The Ten of Cups is here though on the underlying with magic. So that's interesting. Like the Ten of Cups shared, and like your magic coming from being happy, your magic coming from joy. So the first song that came out for me, and I've got quite a lot of songs, and I guess they'll all be listed below. My guides do talk to me through music. One of the first songs that came through, which made me laugh, was this song called Me Versus Us. And it made me laugh because when I first started to see the messages and get the signs, I did have this kind of dark night of the soul period, but then I had this like almost euphoric period where it almost felt like the world had become more magical, or like, you know, an extra layer had been added to the world, and I felt very happy at that time. And I remember I was listening to that song a lot. It was like my favorite song at the time, and I just loved it. And it kind of became a weirdly significant song. It was like this weird I think what I'm trying to say from it, and the message that I'm trying to give to you is, you could have had an experience like this where, you know, it's like you were very happy and the world felt more magical. It doesn't have to be love, although I am getting kind of a bit of a side message that's a bit of a love reading, which I'll kind of get to in a minute, but it doesn't have to be that for everybody. It could just be this experience, right, that felt really magical and you felt really happy in it, and it's almost like that's where your magic comes from. And so maybe like me, because I've had like, you know, not really bad ill health, but kind of like, you know, a series of kind of colds and just feeling a bit black, and the weather's been horrible, and um I've not been unhappy, but maybe that's it, right? Maybe that's because I went through a bit of a blur period, maybe the magic kind of went away. So maybe being happy is what kind of helps me connect to my guides or something like that. I don't know, but there could be a message in that for somebody. It's like your magic comes from being happy, and not only being happy, but shared happiness with others. Or, you know, life feels more magical when you find those situations where, you know, you're being social and everything's working and everything's flowing. It's kind of like the happiness of the communities where the magic is, something like that. And so it's strange to be with this Nine of Cups. It almost feels like I heard separation. It could be a separation, but it feels like um separating your energy out from the collective, perhaps. The need to um distinguish your energy from the collective energy. So again, sometimes I can feel really off and I don't know why, and I'm like, it must be something going on in the this isn't my energy, right? I'm not sad. There must be something going on in the energy that's making me sad. So the ability to kind of like distinguish your own energy and your own happiness and what makes you happy from the happiness of the group perhaps could be a message with that. Okay, so yeah, but that song, Me versus Others. So there could be a situation where, because the opening line of that song is, tell me I wasn't alone when I lost my mind. So it could be that some of you have had this kind of awakening, or this kind of these experiences where it's like the world felt more magical, like you just walked into a fairy tale. And it things that seemed, to me it was like things that seemed impossible and unbelievable, um suddenly we're getting confirmation and feeling very real. And it could be that other people, with that 10 of Cups, it could be that there were other people in this experience with you. So that idea of like, tell me I wasn't alone when I lost my mind, it's almost like, are you seeing this too? Are you also seeing these signs? Are you picking up on these subtleties, these moods? Does the world suddenly feel like a magical place for you too? Or is this just something that's just happening to me? So all these things could be coming through. The cards from my own deck that came through. So you had the Crows and the Priest kind of together. And then the Seed and the Guardian and Starman. So Starman's a really positive sign, because this is one of my guides. The Starman card is how I define one of the spirit messages that kind of come to me, and it's this almost alien like Aquarian kind of progressive guide that, when I connect with them, they, I get all this stuff about physics and technology, and I have to Google it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a legit thing. I just, where did that come from? And it's come from Starman, right? So it the way it's coming through in this reading today is like everything has a perfect time. Like there is a divine plan, there's a cosmic plan. And like Starman sees it, right? Starman sees fate and destiny and perfect timing and things coming into alignment. I want to say there's something about this, because you have this card for a start that says, align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? So it does feel like somebody is making changes, probably to aim for more happiness, right? To bring more happiness and magic into their life, because things haven't been aligned. So what's not aligned and what do you need to change? Because it does feel like as this reading progresses, there is this feeling of like coming into alignment, of like things lining up. So you can see how there's these like two planets, and then like all these planets in a row. It's like getting your ducks in a row perhaps, and then like this other planet here as well. So yeah, I want to say Starman can see over the horizon, right? Starman can see as a concept, as it doesn't have to be that you necessarily believe in the embodiment of Starman, right? But as a concept, it's this idea of kind of like a guide for you, perhaps, or time itself being able to be mapped out, the map, like the road being mapped out ahead of you, and knowing what's coming over that horizon, and knowing things are, it could even be, if you want to kind of take the magic and the kind of esotericness out of this, it could even just be this case of you being able to instinctively and perhaps subconsciously know that things are lining up for you. It's almost like things have been coming for a while. So you could have been waiting to hear back from a job, or you could know that at a certain time promotions are available, and maybe in a year or two I'll have some money coming my way, I'll get a return on that investment, and then I'll be able to buy a house. And like, so it's almost like all these ideas and plans and things that you've got kind of coming into, everything's like lining up, everything's kind of like the right place at the right time for you to be able to move forward. What are they kind of showing me? So trains, like train tracks, and sometimes they switch, and so the train has to like be on the right track. It's like suddenly all the tracks switch and the entire track is like green lights, you know, if you don't have to wait anymore, everything's green lights, you can move forward. I like it when they give me visuals to explain what I'm seeing. So yeah, Starman being a really, really positive sign. It's like it's almost like it's like Starman's here to say it's all part of the plan. Any kind of like holdups you've had, any they're showing me like not it's coming through like knots in the thread. So I heard knots in the thread, and I was seeing like a knotted rope. So knots in the thread, it's all part of the plan. It could be something about literal kind of like knots or pulls in threads or fabric, because I'm looking here at my kind of like sheer curtains, and you know sometimes when one thread's pulled and everything kind of crunches up. So there could be something about sorry, I get messages in lots of different ways. Could be something about that, about kind of like, you know, a thread being pulled and suddenly everything not only is lined up but closer together, kind of almost like beads, right? It's kind of like you know, beads on a piece of elastic and then being quite loose, but kind of holding the elastic taut and like pushing the beads along, and suddenly they're all next to each other. So it could be that there's maybe some kind of crunch time coming up for somebody where it's like suddenly everything. Sorry, I'm getting corrected. So what I'm getting told instead is that it's like things that seemed very far off, things that seemed like, you know, this is the 5-year plan, this is the 10-year plan, could suddenly almost like be accelerated. So there's faster progression through these different, or things come in faster than you were expecting, right? You don't have to wait as long for these things. Everything's kind of like lined up faster. So they're showing me like dominoes, almost like a domino effect, but the way it's coming through is, you know, carriages of a train. I don't know why trains is coming through so significantly. You know, like how carriages of a train, they kind of hook onto one another. So it's like, because, so sort of like a chain of events, I guess, a train of events. Like, because everything's hooked onto each other, everything can be pulled along faster. Like there's momentum to it, but it's like because everything's connected. Okay, the Crows and the Priest and the Seed and the Guardian. So I asked for clarification on this through songs. One of the songs that I got was Confessions Part 2 by Usher, which was interesting because I was really confirming about this priest. And so the word itself, confessions, right, it's significant because you go to a priest to confess, you know, to do confession. Usher as well, like you would find an usher in a church. So there could be something about, it doesn't feel like it's about getting married or weddings because there's no hierophant on the table, right? Um, what this is feeling like to me with the song Confessions Part 2, he talks about getting his chick on the side pregnant, right? This is what he's confessing. He's like, you know, just when I confess to kind of having this affair, I find out this woman's pregnant. And so I wonder if there's been a situation where somebody's had to do the right thing, right? And it feels like this is in the past because the Crows and the Priest, some of you know that I'm really into D&D at the moment, and there's this concept of the Raven Queen who keeps memories, and I've been making this kind of like cleric of the Raven Queen, and the idea being kind of they're kind of like a cleric that helps with death, basically, and this idea of kind of like keeping memories and keeping mementos of loved ones or of significant experiences and keeping those safe. So that was kind of coming through there with the Crows and the Priest to me. And I kind of want to kind of move on from that, but just to explain why I'm getting this thing about like memories or past. So it feels like maybe this happened in the past, like maybe this is somebody's story. Because there's also this song Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac that's giving me this feeling of, so a woman being in love with a man, right? And this man getting another woman pregnant. And going to a priest, it's a very specific story. Going to a priest and this priest saying, you need to do the right thing. You are, you know, the seed being the child, right? The unborn child. It's like, you need to be the guardian of this child. You're the father, you're the guardian. You need to do the right thing. So perhaps you need to marry this woman. You've also got some songs like, some kind of Italian and Spanish speaking songs, which was making me think of like, especially with confessions, it was making me think of kind of Catholicism, which obviously comes from the Vatican, which is in Italy. So it could be someone went to like a Catholic priest and they are like, you know, because of your beliefs, you know, if you've got this woman pregnant, you need to marry her. Again, this could be historical. This could even be like parents, you know, like somebody's parent could have been in this situation. Um, so yeah, the guardian of the seed. But it feels like because this person's had to do the right thing, right? The right thing for the child, because the child's the innocent person in all this, right? The child didn't ask to come into existence, and they're young and they're vulnerable. So it's like, it makes sense in a way. And I'm not saying this is what people should do. I'm saying that I can understand this mentality, right? Of like, okay, so I love that woman, but we're two adults. And there's a child involved here now, so now I need to step up and do the right thing by this innocent. So it makes sense, but then there's still this kind of love between, you know, the two people who were divided by this. You know, perhaps where, I don't know. There's also something coming through as well about, I don't know how it all ties in together, but there's something coming through about like Reno or gambling. It doesn't have to be Reno, right? Reno's like a little Vegas, right? Is it kind of like, I don't know, I'm not American, so the impression that I get from media is like Reno's kind of like a budget version of Vegas. Is that right? And then this song, Every Baby Needs a Daddy, which is Marilyn Monroe, but it's Kate Michaels' version. Um, and the song's Something to Remember. Um, if you place your stakes too high, you're bound to lose. In the game of love, I've paid my dues. So this idea of kind of, I've paid my dues, right? I did what I had to do. Maybe it's, you know, I raised this child because I had to. I took that responsibility seriously, something like that. Or it could be that somebody's met somebody in a place where, I don't know, with Every Baby Needs a Daddy, right? It's like a Marilyn Monroe, and kind of, you know, it makes me think of other things around at that time, like Frank Sinatra, and kind of like, you know, they were all about Reno and stuff, weren't they? So it could be something where it's like, um, you know, I mean, every baby needs a daddy. So again, it's that thing about like the guardian of the seed. It could be literal, like the child's father, but they could also be like, you know, like a baby girl who's looking for the guy to take care of her, got pregnant. I don't know. I don't know. I want to move on from that. But this thing about like, if I place my bets too high, I'm bound to lose. You gave me something to remember. I should love myself. That feels more like the other side of it. That feels more like the woman who didn't get picked, or the, you know, the woman perhaps who truly loves this man. Um, there's this feeling of trying to move on, right? Trying to be like, okay, so I wasn't the one who's chosen. I need to get on with my life. There's this song that's like one foot in front of the other. Um, you know, it's hard to move on, but I've got to, right? I'm perhaps it's like I'm resourceful. I've got to start afresh. I've got to pick myself up and dust myself off and accept what's happened, because this is how the reading starts. The reading starts with resourcefulness with this Queen of Earth. So it could be that this is a Capricorn, resourcefulness and Queen of Earth. And the Queen of Earth is very, very resourceful. Like, this is her whole thing, right? Resourcefulness is the realm of the Queen of Earth. She's practical, she's responsible, she's hardworking, she's organized, she's efficient, she's, you know, she shows up, she works hard, she makes money, you know, and she is good at resource management. It's like, that's who the Queen of Earth is, the Queen of Pentacles. Resourcefulness is with new beginning. Like fresh start, new beginning. There's something about the colours of these cards as well being very similar. And also this being with beloved radical acceptance. So it feels like I have to accept this new beginning, right? I have to be resourceful. I have to accept this new beginning. And it could be possibly being very independent. It could be something about, um, okay, I have to do this on my own. I can't be, the Marilyn Monroe in that song, Every Baby Needs a Daddy, to keep her worry free and to buy her nice things and take her to Tiffany's and all this. It's like, okay, I've got to look after myself. I've got to do this on my own. I've got to manage my own resources. I've got to, and it could be that somebody's becoming single as well, because the Queen of Earth is normally partnered, right? She's normally married or in a business commitment. Like normally, like the Queen of Earth and the King of Earth they share the responsibilities. But then going into these two nines, the Nine of Fire and the Nine of Cups, uh, which signifies more of an independence. So, and especially following this new beginning, it's kind of giving me this, and also beginner's mind, right? You've got new beginnings and beginner's mind. So it has this feeling of, yeah, accepting a position or accepting a situation or accepting, even if it is a case of you can't be with that person that you love and you can't just sit there and stagnate, you've got to put one foot in front of the other. So let's work on your independence. Let's work on your self-sufficiency instead of waiting for somebody to come along and save you, perhaps. But then along with that, there's also this thing about, because it's the new beginnings in the sun, right? And then the sun almost immediately follows because the cards are like this, like the sun cards are touching at a diagonal. This is a different sun. It says enjoyment, life, joy, success, vitality, play. I've got a little, sorry, I paint my nails and then I can't sit still long enough and I mess them up. So yeah, and then dance with life as well. Do something to change your energy. So there's something coming through about moving towards happiness or searching for that sunlight, searching for the happiness, searching for the good days, searching for the joy and the pleasure and the things that make you feel good. Perhaps after a phase of perhaps even ill health. Like I say, I've had a run of catching everything that's been going around, which makes you feel very drained and worn out because, when you have a series of colds and bugs, you're not up to, making yourself a full nutritious meal. You don't want to eat, a big hearty meal that's you start to, I mean, I do anyway. I start to eat things like, carbs, like stodgy carbs is what I want when I'm not feeling very well, especially if I'm feeling sickly. It's like, I want something small, I want something plain, I want something boring, but it's not particularly nutritious, right? So it doesn't help you get better. And then it's like, you don't want to, like, I was going to do yoga with some of my work colleagues this week, but I felt really sick on the day. And I thought if I was going to do, like, there's a yoga position called the downward dog where you kind of stick your butt up in the air and your face down to the floor. So you're literally kind of almost in an upside down position. And I thought if I do the downward dog today, I think I'm just going to vomit, right? I don't want to have my stomach higher than my head today. So it's kind of like I didn't do yoga that day. And, you become lethargic and you become sluggish. So the Nine of Fire, the Nine of Wands has that energy to it. It talks about, it can be a series of ill health, right? A period of ill health or a period of feeling like you're kind of like walking through gruel almost. Like, sorry, I know I say like too much. I'll try not to. And I too much as I'm looking for the right words. It feels like you've got a lot of burdens on your back. It feels like you've got a lot of heavy responsibilities, and this is really hard work, and it's been a slog. And yet the thing here is she's holding on to hope, right? She's holding on to, I do wonder if there's this feeling of like something coming into alignment, as I was talking about this here, knowing that something's coming your way, knowing that this situation's not forever and you've just got to persevere through this difficult patch is perhaps the way it feels. There's something going on with this because you can see how she's holding these stars. So I was seeing something. Let me show you the iconography of these cards and what I'm seeing kind of here, just in case this makes sense to anyone. So this resourcefulness, this horned cactus. So you can see all these kind of like, these prickles, right? These almost like star-shaped prickles or burrs that are kind of attached to the horned cactus. Interestingly enough as well, this one's horned. So I'm definitely getting kind of a Capricorn vibe with this being the Capricorn card and also the Capricorn card being the devil, and the idea of like the devil being horned. I don't know. It's giving strong Cappy, and I know my Capricorns. I love you guys. You've had that struggle, right? You've had that tough period with Pluto hanging around your sign for such a long time, and so this thing here as well, like you can see these kind of again, it's almost like birds, or it looks to me like a dandelion clock being kind of blown onto her and sticking to her, which things would stick to you if something kind of feathery or fabricy was blown towards this person, it would stick to them, right? So the idea of like collecting and gathering your resources, collecting what you have, collecting the things that have blown your way, and gathering together and making really good use out of them. It's making me think of kind of like birds feathering the nest, right? They kind of, and that song, Robin feathering his nest has very little time to rest for gathering his bits of twine and twig. So maybe feeling a bit like a robin, right? Feeling like you've not had any time to rest, feeling like you've been, gathering all your bits of twine and twig, and kind of maybe decorating your house, or maybe repairing your house, or maybe kind of working on saving money to buy a house, something like this. There could be this kind of collecting of maybe not even kind of like things of massive value, but almost like saving your pennies, collecting little things, and kind of, like sometimes you see people kind of this, I think it feels like something that used to happen maybe in like the 80s. I don't know if it's still a thing, but people used to go around collecting cans, didn't they? And they'd take them to a recycling centre and they'd get money for the cans for handing them in. So I don't know, it's almost like that, like every little helps, or coupon clipping or something like this. Then with this new beginning, so I'm seeing something here where like all these kind of like bits, because can you see it's like white, it's almost like collecting all the dust up into one big dust ball, is the way I'm kind of seeing this. And again, with this moon maiden new beginnings being next to the 9 of fire, the 9 of wands, it feels like this has felt like a burden, this has felt like a long slog, roll. It's almost like not Sisyphus, who's the other one? I can only get the name Sisyphus, so maybe that's particularly relevant, but the guy who had to roll the boulder up the hill over and over again, and every time he got the boulder to the top of the hill, it would roll back down. But I'm seeing something with like, especially because this card's here with this handful of moss. That thing of like a rolling stone gathers no moss, but the opposite. So it's kind of like every time this ball rolls, it gathers more moss to it. So there's something about what you're doing. If this is your reading, it's like something that you've been doing where you've been collecting. So it could be that you're a bit of a hoarder as well, right? You've been doing something over and over again, and every time you do this thing gets bigger. It could just be your work, right? Every time you go to work, you put a little bit of money in your savings account gets bigger. But it feels like it's been a grind, right? It's been something that has been a difficult task, but it's been slowly building. So now you do have this new beginning. But then there's this strange thing here, and this is where this Leo energy comes in. So I don't know if you've got Leo in your chart, but the Leo feels like somebody else. So Capricorn, you feel like you've been working hard, and then this Leo turns up. And there's this thing about, because you see here, so here's the Leo, and he kind of like, he's dropping down this little tiny ball, right? So, and then you've got these two hands where, this star is being given by one person to this other person. This star has a little key on it. So it feels like almost being given, it feels like, if I show you, the cards didn't come out like this, but I'm seeing it like this, where something is being given by the Leo to, I want to say the Capricorn. It doesn't have to be those signs. It could just be that you've got Capricorn placements, but just to define the two different characters, I'm going to say the Leo and the Capricorn, and hopefully you can figure out from that who's who. Remember that we're not one sign, we're a full zodiac of many different placements. It's like we've got our sun placement, our moon placement, our Venus placement, or Saturn. So maybe this is something to do with Saturn for you, because Saturn rules Capricorn. So yeah, don't get too hung up on the signs, but just so that you know who's who, I'm going to say Capricorn and Leo because it's easier. So yeah, it feels like, while, say for example it was buying a house, right? Say this is like the keys to a house. You're being given the keys to a house from this Leo, is the way it feels to me. Say for example, or even like the deposit for a house. So say you have been trying to buy a house for the longest time and you've been working really hard, you know, taking on extra hours, saving up every little bit of money that you can, you know, even doing that thing of being really good with resource management and kind of being like, okay, so um if I, you know, if I cancel my gym subscription, or, you know, maybe if I reduce my internet package to kind of like a simpler package and I kind of like save money there. So looking at all these different ways of where you can just kind of like clip coupons and, you know, get a little bit of money off here, you know, turning off a few of you, you know, turning off your heating and using blankets to save money on heating bills. So it's like all these little ways that you've been really persevering with trying to save this money, perhaps for something like a deposit on a house or a car or something like this. And it's been, say that money is, just as a ballpark figure, and it's probably going to be more than this, but say you were trying to save £10,000 and it's been so difficult for you. It feels like for this person, it's like £10,000 is not that much to them. You know, it's like they've got hundreds and thousands, they've got £1,000,000. So yeah, £10,000 is a lot of money, but where you've had to scrimp and save for it, this person's just, yeah, here you go, here's a loan, you know, or he, like, it's not, because it's tiny for them, right? Where for you it's kind of like back-breaking, it's this massive burden. For them it's like a tiny drop in a great pool of water. So again, you've got that song Every Baby Needs a Daddy, right, to keep her worry free. As I'm saying this, my dad was Leo. So I don't know, that's funny to me. So yeah, kind of, maybe it's like asking your dad for, to help you out with your money for your house, you know? It's like, because it's not a big deal for them. They bought the house in like the 70s, when, you know, my dad bought his house in the 70s and it was like 7 grand, I think. It's like £7,000. And the house is like almost exactly the same. It's like a few streets over from the house that I live on, like 2 up, 2 down, like same kind of house. And mine was considerably more than money than that. Like add zeros, you know? So yeah, like I don't know. Could be something about generational wealth, perhaps, something like that. But it does feel like, you know, getting this key, getting this, maybe it's like a commitment to helping you, or maybe you need to make a commitment to help them or something like that. It's like, or maybe this is a big commitment, you know, buying a house is a big commitment. Again, it could be something to do with marriage. You know, you're getting married, so, you know, you're having your first baby. A lot of people buy a house at that point if they're able, at least traditionally. So it could be all these different things. Or maybe it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's even the case of like, you know, the priest being the father, you know, like, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, you know, that type of father. It could even be something like, okay, so if I commit to marrying this person and being the guardian of this child, you know, I will inherit the house. There's all these different factors that are coming through, but it is coming through with whatever this is, right? It is coming through as a new beginning and something to celebrate. Like the sun is here, the sun's here twice. You've got this dancing, and then to show you here as well, like, maybe this is something you've been hoping for, because there's this thing about kind of, you know, the hand and the star in these two consecutive cards. So these two cards came out one after the other. They're just kind of, you know, the way I pull cards, like the next card comes up here, but these two cards came out after each other from different decks, and you can see how similar they are. So the star on this card always talks to me about, she's in this dark place, right? She's in this cave going through this tough experience. It's been backbreaking and hard work, and it's been a challenge for her, and yet she's not given up on hope. Like the star talks to me about hope. And then with this card being, you know, coming from this place of something being really hard work and something being backbreaking, my leg's shaking for some reason, maybe that's significant. the energy switching from this to being something that is much more vibrant and much more happy along with this sun. So it could be that somebody has like a patron or a benefactor or somebody who is able to help them out because they are perhaps so much better off, or they're in a position to be able to do that, where it's not a big deal for them, but for this person who's been working so hard, it's liberating, right? It's freedom, it's celebration. Because then you have these cards again. This is next to the sun card. This is how these cards are set up. So this dance with life, do something to change your energy, is next to these two sun cards: joy, enjoyment, life force, success, vitality, play. So it feels like it has this feeling of almost like getting your life back in this moment. So if you are being blessed in this way, where perhaps again you've been, you know, slugging it out, working hard, having to pay the rent, pay the bills, and how draining work can be on people. Like, some people have jobs that they love, right? Some people have jobs that, it's a pleasure to go to work for that company. And, I'm lucky enough that the work that I do, I love it because I love the people I work with, right? The people I work with are fun, they're funny, they're friendly, they're good people. And I really, really like the team that I work with. But the work itself for me is incredibly draining. Like, and it is kind of like backbreaking work. So I work to pay the bills, right? I work in a kitchen, and it's very, very, think Hell's Kitchen, right? Think Gordon Ramsay screaming at you. I mean, my boss would never scream at me, but that intensity, that kind of very, very fast paced, very busy kitchen where I'm on my feet for how many hours, like start of the day to the end of the day, with a very, very quick rushed break. And it's hot and it's intense and it's like, I say this sometimes, like, you can only concentrate for, I think it's like 40 minutes. Like, the average concentration of a human being is 40 minutes. And so to have to do this for hours, where you kind of like, what's the next meal, and like everybody wants something different, and I love it, right? I love the presentation of it, but it's intense. And so to do something like that, where it's kind of, it's hard work, right? It's really hard work. And there's somebody else who's coming along, with the more comfortable lifestyle, with a cushy job, perhaps being like, hey, I can help you out, here you go, and they're celebrating, being like, oh my goodness, now I don't have to work so hard. Now I have the freedom to make different choices. Now I have the, maybe if it's even just going part-time, it's that case of like, I don't have to be nose to the grindstone to pay the rent. I can, take my foot off the accelerator a little bit. And, this isn't me, because I'm very good at managing I'm actually really good, I think, at kind of not living to work, but not, not living to work, but working to live. I'm very good at kind of having my work-life balance and kind of like going steady. I'm not gonna, I refuse, I used to overwork years ago, and I refuse to live to work, right? I'm not going to do that anymore. I will work to live. I will not live to work. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, when this comes in, anyway, it's like a celebration. It's like the sun coming back into your life. It's this feeling of kind of your energy being, instead of depleted, it's like your energy levels going back up. So it could be that thing of kind of maybe even like literally coming into spring and summer if you're in the northern hemisphere, and kind of like, the days getting brighter and being able to go out and do more things without being cold all the time, and kind of, that can change your energy. I went for a big walk the other day and it felt so good. And then again, it goes back to beginner's mind, right? New beginnings. So it could even be like, change your outlook, change, it could be a glass half full, glass half empty situation where you're seeing the joy, right? You're seeing the potential instead of feeling so drained and, like you're on a never ending cycle. Suddenly it could be like seeing the possibilities and seeing the opportunities and seeing the chances and feeling really, really happy as well, because now you've got the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups, as well as being a card about independent happiness, right? Being able to not rely on others to pick you up when you're down, but to know the things that you need to do to keep yourself emotionally vibing quite high. The feeling of, if I fall down, I can pick myself back up. Like, I know how to do this emotionally, which is a life skill, right? It takes time to learn how to do this. Um, some people are more resilient than others. Some people are just naturally, that's their personality. But for a lot of people, it's kind of a skill of kind of, when I hit rock bottom, um, yes, it's brilliant when you up. It's brilliant when other people help you out. But what if I had to do it on my own? How do I do it on my own? How do I gain those survival skills to be like, to comfort myself, right? To look for the bright side, to look for the opportunities when life has slapped me hard. It can be difficult to find that within, but this is a card of doing that. And I want to say there's something as well, with it being the peacock, there's something about looking really good while doing this. I want to say maybe it is a case of getting out of a rough patch that's been very draining on your health and feeling like you've got vitality again, and like, maybe going out and walking or doing yoga or dancing and moving your body more, and then looking good because you've been doing healthier activities, which is, it can be seen with all the eyes. It's like it can be seen. Also, significantly, I associate Queen of Pentacles with peacocks as well. So again, we've got another Capricorn energy kind of showing through with the peacock on this card. What's the other thing as well? The Nine of Cups is also a card about wish fulfillment. So again, it almost feels like perhaps his dream is being fulfilled, or a wish is being fulfilled. And again, I want to say it's something that's been long term, especially with the Nine of Wands. It's like this has been a long term goal, like something you've wanted for a long time. And I want to say, if it's not here, it's like it's on the horizon with this world coming in. And then fresh breath, beginner's mind. Again, this feeling of like worlds aligning, things coming into alignment, or your resources finally paying off, or because again, it's this thing about like collecting all these worlds around her. And then there's this thing about the two people, right, coming into alignment. So it could even be a case of, and again, remember Starman's here. So even if you are a little bit nose to the grindstone, right, a little bit head in the sand, a little bit kind of like one foot in front of the other, I want to say, I don't know if someone's called Victoria. She kind of looks like a childhood friend to me who was called Vicky. Somebody could be called Vicky, Victoria. Or it could be like, because I'm getting that train station, like in trains, like I'm kind of getting Victoria Station. I don't know if any of that's significant. Ignore it if it's not. Sometimes these random messages come in. Even if you can't see over that horizon, right? Even if you can't see this coming, it's like Starman does, right? Starman sees these things coming into alignment. This is karmic relationships, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. So, along with this new situation, there could be okay, karmic relationships. I find in terms of tarot, especially popular tarot, like TikTok tarot, and kind of pop culture tarot, people use the word karmic a lot to talk about as a negative thing, right? The idea of kind of like, people say the karmic for, a lot of the time, if you're looking at love readings, I find this a bit of a toxic language. I don't really like this, but this idea of kind of, say we had that scenario where, you had the soulmates, the woman and the man who love each other so much, but the man has, gone off with the karmic. This is how people say it, the karmic, who, he's not in love with, and he's not, meant to be with. This is a karmic relationship. It might look like love, but it's toxic. And, this is the way people talk in these love readings. I don't quite see it that way. I don't see karma as good or bad. I see it as, this is the lesson that you need to learn at this time. And sometimes you can have a positive karmic relationship or a negative karmic relationship. It's just about, meeting the person that you need to meet to have some sort of soul growth, for better or for worse, right? And so, especially there's this thing about, I want to say there's like two people who are it's like these two people are going to run into each other, right? These two people are going to meet because it's like they're dancing the same path. They're on the same track. They're, you know, the rhythm is, they're following the same beat, they're following the same rhythm. And so this is what's bringing these two people into alignment. So this could be somebody you've not met yet, or even somebody who comes back around, you know, as the planet turns, again, for better or for worse. And I think a lot of the time it is about how you look at this. You know, why is this person in my life? What is the lesson that I'm supposed to learn here? And sometimes that can be hard. Sometimes it can be confusing. You know, I've been in plenty of situations where I thought, am I doing this wrong? You know, did I understand the lesson correctly, or have I stepped out of line somehow and the universe is punishing me? You know, sometimes it can be very confusing, especially if you feel like you're following the signs and you feel like you're doing everything that the universe wants you to do. You know, for that not to work out, for that to lead you to a dead end, or to even fall flat on your face and have a really rough period, which again, I went through a really rough time recently, so I understand that. You know, sometimes you think, did I annoy the universe? Did I misinterpret the signs? Like, am I being punished? Like, did I bring this upon myself? And so, you know, sometimes that can be a really tough thing, and I want to kind of acknowledge that. I'm a little bit cautious now because with this karmic relationship, it does say conflict, and then we have sacred contract. So this feels like a soul contract, right? This feels like you are destined to meet this person at this time. But I don't know if it's something that you want to agree to, or necessarily, I don't know if this is good or bad, basically, because the next card along at the bottom is retreat, and then the King of Wands. So I don't know if it's like sign a contract to go on a work retreat with the King of Wands, or, you know, almost feels a bit like, again, in D&D, you have this thing where one of the things that you can be is a warlock, and part of the warlock, one of the features of the warlock is you make a pact with a patron, and you know, the patrons can be good or bad. You can have a celestial patron who is, again, the Starman, I guess, would be a celestial patron, because, oh my god, the whale, oh, you've got the whale underneath that. The Starman and the whale, I love that. That's the star whale. That's a really positive sign, guys. So yeah, it's like, you can make a warlock pact with a patron who's a celestial, who's this divine being, who's really positive, actually. Or you can make a pact with a literal devil, right? So it's kind of like, be careful who you're signing that contract with, because you know, there's a quid pro quo here. Okay, you might be getting something, but what is expected in return from this situation, especially if you're dealing with a Leo? So it could be something where, you know, you're buying a cabin, you're buying a summer house. I know one of my friends is really lucky that they're considering buying kind of like a little a barn, basically. So it could be like, oh, that could be our holiday home, you know. So I'm not telling them not to do it, by the way. It's just making me think of, you know, how these situations come about, you know, in real life. If, you know, when fortune favors you, when you get lucky. And so what's going on here? So I'm just trying to decipher as I go along. Like, obviously I get a feel for the reading, and then as I'm explaining it, I have to kind of put into words what I'm kind of seeing. So if I go back up here, the Nine of Cups is kind of like happiness and joy and like wish fulfilled. It's followed by the Seven of Pentacles, and now the Seven of Pentacles is like hard work. Again, you've got this feeling of like all the threads coming together. Okay, you know, this whole thing about kind of like the Queen of Pentacles and the resourcefulness and everything kind of sticking to her, and her kind of like making do with what she has. You know, maybe it's a case of kind of make do amend, working with kind of like vintage fashions. And, I used to love this. I went through a whole vintage phase. There were some brilliant vintage shops kind of in the city that I'm close to. And, you got all these gorgeous kind of like vintage summer dresses that had been reworked into more of a modern fit, like from that kind of vintage style into something that was kind of, maybe the skirt was a little bit shorter, or maybe, it's slightly, better fitting in certain areas that's more fashionable in today's fashion. But there were these gorgeous vintage prints that still had a vintage feel. So this idea of kind of like working with what you've got and kind of uh, bringing all these, almost like a patchwork quilt almost. It's like all these things coming together. So this idea with the Seven of Pentacles, again, of this like consistent work over time is the meaning of Seven of Pentacles. It's like you get back what you put in. So Seven of Pentacles, it's kind of like the stepping stones of success. It's like one foot in front of the other. I'm gonna collect my resources over time. I'm going to put the work in over time. It's got this time period feeling. It's Virgo energy if anyone's got Virgo in the chart. But then this starting to connect, right? These things starting to weave together. You've got this thing about things coming together. But then this being followed by the Six of Pentacles. So there is a loss of one pentacle, but in the process of losing one pentacle, it makes everything fairer, right? It balances everything out. It makes things, the Six of Pentacles, the literal meaning is dividing something up to make things balanced. So if things have been unequal, say it's a workload, you've been doing more than your fair share of the work. So here comes the Six of Pentacles to go, okay, so let's take this off your plate. Let's assign this to this person because this person hasn't been doing enough work. So, it's going to kind of balance everything out and make everything more level. Obviously, in terms of how much people are capable of doing, because, I just mentioned Virgos. Virgos can do a lot of work. Virgos work really, really hard. And they're very capable, as is Queen of Pentacles, right? Earth signs tend to be very hands-on, very capable, and they're able to do more work than perhaps some of the other signs who are more creative or more analytical, like more in their heads. Some people have illnesses. You wouldn't expect somebody who had who'd strained their back to lift the same amount of stuff as somebody who was young and full of strength. So it's about the Six of Pentacles is not just what looks good on paper. It's also taking into account what people are capable of and what people need. So for example, this person, you've got these two people here, right? This person who is doing this back-breaking work for very little money, and there's this person who's doing very, very, perhaps, again, and not talking badly of this person, perhaps this person has just been very, very fortunate throughout their life, but they're sitting pretty, they're quite comfortable, their need is not as great. So it's like, well, why would we give both of these people £10,000 when this person could, this person doesn't really need any extra money, but this person, they could make they could do a lot with it. It's like this person's need is greater, so therefore it's more fair to divide things unequally to balance out the situation. So just to explain the kind of true meaning of the Six of Pentacles there, it doesn't always necessarily mean everybody's going to get the same amount. It's everybody's going to get what's fair. And perhaps this contract is, making this official. So it could be a situation where, it could be assets getting divided. It could be a pay rise, negotiating pay rises. But again, it feels like there is this need to sign the contract. This is something, a lot of the time when you are doing something to do with money, buying a house or buying or selling a house, buying and selling a car, starting a new job, all these things come with contracts. So the contract's not necessarily a bad thing, but, always be sure to kind of read the small print, know what you're getting yourself into with these kind of situations. Then focus with the Wizard of the Woods after the Seven of Pentacles. So there could be something about, why is focus here? Maybe some of you know immediately. Maybe you're like, yeah, I know exactly what this is. Maybe you just kind of look like this. I don't know. Wizard of the Woods, focus on the world and retreat. The world and retreat kind of could be talking about maybe going offline for a while, because the world can talk about the internet, right? The World Wide Web, and connectivity, especially with all these webs, right? Of this kind of Seven of Pentacles, or the webs connecting. So there could be something about, um, as these webs connect, as these connections are made, maybe it's something about taking a business global, or taking a business online, and connectivity. There could be something about the need to, it could be the need, or it could be the instinct to take a step back, right? To maybe retreat into the shadows a bit. Maybe, sometimes, if you're not used to being visible, if you're not used to, especially with the sun card being here twice, because the sun card can, and all this Leo energy, it can indicate fame. You did have a song, was it REM? There's a song by REM, it mentions Reno. This is where I got Reno from, where it says like you're going to be a star or something. So maybe somebody is going to get some publicity, or some maybe you're going to make a post, and normally it's only your friends that see this post. So, normally it's just you and your crew, like, laughing at this daft joke, but then it goes viral, right? And it's like the whole world is looking at this daft joke you've made. So it could be something where, something happens, and you want to kind of retreat back, you want to kind of hide, you want to take the post down, and take yourself, shut the computer down, turn off your phone, and kind of retreat. There could be an instinct of, oh gosh, this is, suddenly a lot of eyes on me, especially with this thing with the peacock, right? There's suddenly a lot of people looking at me. It could even be, if you have been working out, if you have been, looking after yourself, and you're looking really good, somebody could stop you in the street and be like, hey, I run an Instagram site where, I post people who I think look really fashionable and look really good, street style. You could be on a street style thing, and like suddenly you blow up, and everybody's like, oh, they're so hot, so it could be this feeling of kind of, oh gosh, I need to go and hide. Especially with attraction, because the world is with attraction. So it's kind of like, the world could be finding you very attractive, and, sometimes that's unwanted attention, sometimes that can feel awkward, or, like a bit like you're a piece of meat, kind of like, people can make strange comments, and it can make you feel very vulnerable and uncomfortable when suddenly you have a kind of like the whole world looking at you. And with resistance as well, it could be that there's some resistance to this. Like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be on view. I don't want to be public. So again, perhaps there's something coming through where, you are going to get a really good opportunity. Perhaps it's going to be very profitable, but it does require you to kind of step out onto a more global platform, which could give you this feeling of I don't know how I feel with that. Especially perhaps sometimes, I mean, again, we've got Leo again here, King of Wands. So you don't have to be a Leo, but you could be very, very attractive. You could be, naturally very good looking, or naturally, charismatic, or, even if perhaps, you're not graced with being the most beautiful person on the planet, sometimes people can be very attractive because, um, they just have something about them that, people want to, that makes people feel comfortable. Even, you could be this sort of person who, you're just warm and friendly, and you say the right things, and people feel very comfortable towards you, and they want to be with you, they want to be around you, because your energy is so warm and generous. And the King of Wands is a really lovely, warm energy to be around. The King of Wands is a leader. People follow the King of Wands, they listen to it. Doesn't have to be a male, by the way, either. Women can be in King of Wands energy, but this is somebody who, yeah, they are, especially because attraction's right next to it. It's like they are attractive, right? There's something about their energy, or their physique or personality, that people want to get closer to, or that people want to, if this is like a YouTube channel, it's like people want to subscribe to this person. So, but with resistance, there's something about like, see, if this is you, then, it's talking about you being a natural leader and kind of accepting that. There could be something about like, like Leo North Node, no, or Leo Lilith placements. Yeah, maybe like Leo Lilith placements, where being in the spotlight, having publicity, it feels very wrong to you. It feels very awkward, right? It feels like you're undeserving of such acclaim if you've got a Lilith Leo placement. Maybe Leo North Node as well. Like I said, because so there could be resistance to this. Um, but if this is somebody around you, and this is the initial way that I read this, it could be that there's somebody very attractive, right? The King of Wands can be. They're not a player. I see the player as the Knight of Wands, especially like, or if these cards come out in reverse. But they are very charming, you know, and they can be a little bit domineering, perhaps a little bit you know, used to getting their own way. So if you're dealing with somebody who's very, very attractive, you know, you could be getting told to resist this, you know, but also it could be love is our resistance. I don't know. I'm finding that kind of hard to read. Did I get a song through for that? So yeah, I asked for a song to clarify this because I was like, how am I supposed to read this part of the reading? And the song that came through was Cup of Life by Ricky Martin. And he says, do you really want it? So I guess it's a case of how much do you want this? You know, I think that's a personal thing that you need to answer if this is your reading. Anything else? So as I say, it does feel like somebody's doing something new, and perhaps there is this need, especially with like new beginnings, beginner's mind. So there could be a need to, with bold step forward, there could be something about confidence, you know, and fighting that feeling of wanting to retreat and wanting to hide, and you know the confidence it takes to be bold and step out onto the global stage or into the spotlight, or you know to be seen, to allow yourself to be seen. You know that can be, and even if it's not that, even if it's just a new beginning, right, something you've never done before, something that you've never tried before, you know, it can really take a very bold step, you know. So there could be something with all this Leo energy. It could be something about gathering your confidence. I do sense that somebody could be a little bit defensive. Could be a little bit of Cancerian energy going on there. Yeah, I want to find out why that Wizard of the Woods is here. So let's go. Wizard of the Woods, why are you here? Oh, wow. Okay, the Empress, very high vibrational energy. Okay, the Empress. So this could be talking about a mother figure, somebody old, a female older than you, who has that kind of mothering energy. It could be talking about you, or it could be talking about you being in your Empress energy. So this is a very high vibrational energy for somebody to be in. It's somebody who is kind of a step up from the Queen of Earth, because the Queen of Earth is just one aspect of the Empress. The Empress is actually all four queens of the tarot. So she embodies the energy of the Queen of Earth, the Queen of Pentacles, who, you know, she's good with money, she's resourceful, she's naturally nurturing, you know, she can take care of people, she can be a mother, she can be, you know, a leader, a guide, but in a very practical way. She's very efficient. And then the Queen of Cups, who is emotionally expressive and loving and supportive, and you know, a good listener. And the Queen of Swords, who's logical and strategic and intelligent, and you know, she can communicate very well, she's very good with words. And the energy of the Queen of Wands, who is, you know, attractive and confident. And again, attractive can be, you know, confidence is attractive. We're not necessarily talking about physical features, but you know, having a warm personality, being an engaging, charismatic person who, you know, people want to be around and want to listen to. So this is really good. And this could also be somebody that you're attracted to as well. It's like that person who you see as, you know, your Empress. And then this is followed by the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is a gift, or a token, or something that is given, or it can be a plan as well. So with it being Pentacles, it's something practical and real, it's something tangible. So it can be, you know, a contract, it can be a job offer, it can be money coming in, or the keys to a new house, right? And then this is the Eight of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles is about mastering something. It's about, I suppose, the Ace of Pentacles being turned into the Ace of Pentacles is like planting that seed and, you know, doing the Seven of Pentacles thing of like watering it and caring for it over time. And then the Ace of Pentacles is like you've mastered it now. So sometimes it can be a new skill. So it's like doing that job and learning everything about it and kind of like mastering that job. Or it's about having an investment and putting it into the right places and managing it and kind of making that the best thing it can possibly be. So yeah, Ace of Pentacles is about kind of perfecting something. Six of Swords is about moving on. It's about leaving a situation that's been very difficult, where there's been tumultuous emotions and you know, it comes after the Five of Swords, and the Five of Swords is about conflict and you know, arguments and disagreements. So it's kind of leaving this really tricky situation behind and moving on to calmer waters, moving on to better things. And then the Temperance card is about, I mean, this is gorgeous. Look at how we end with like the Empress and the Temperance card, these horses. So this is giving me like equanimity, right? The idea of kind of being very gracious and very, I'm getting the word magnanimous, holding your head high and being very gracious and being very high vibrational in a low vibrational space, you know. So coming out of it looking as good as you did going into it, you know, coming out of the other side feeling very calm and feeling very composed, and patience as well, like patience and nurturing and turning one thing into something else. Like here the horses become unicorns, right? They become magical through this process. So Temperance card is about taking energies and mixing them and transmuting them into something else. So the focus, I guess, is talking about the time it takes to grow something. Maybe this is about nurturing your child, about raising your child, especially if this is a situation where you know, the situation I was talking about in the beginning, where it's kind of like, I'm the guardian of this child. You know, I'm responsible for this child's existence. So therefore I'm responsible for raising this child and giving this child everything they need. And, you know, getting them to a point where they can be self-sufficient and they you know, they know how to make investments and they know how to make good decisions regarding money and things like this. So it could be like the focus and the attention and the time and the patience it takes to raise a child. That could be something there. And then I just wanted to ask as well about this. Let's get a read on this King of Wands. What is the King of Wands doing here? Seven of Swords. Everything may not be what it seems with this King of Wands, unfortunately, because there is a snake down here. You know, especially like with that Usher song, you know, this could be somebody who's a bit of a player, you know, very attractive, used to getting their own way, but they've got tricks up their sleeve with the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is about, I mean, I read the Seven of Swords normally as, it's a little bit cloak and dagger, but I normally read it as somebody being quite secretive, and strategic and kind of playing the cards close to their chest. Sometimes it depicts somebody stealing swords from a battlefield so that the swords can't be used against them the next day. So it can be about disarming the opposition, but it does sometimes indicate foul play. It does sometimes indicate that things are not entirely above board. So, you know, resisting the attraction to the King of Wands could make a lot of sense there. Resistance and attraction. Seven of Wands and the Ace of Cups. Yeah, I know, it's like, this is kind of saying you need to defend yourself against this love offer or this offer of something, like this cup that's coming in. I feel like there's hidden intentions with it, because the Seven of Wands is about defending yourself. Let me show you the imagery on the underlying. Oh my god, exactly the same. So I didn't know this until now. I knew that this was the underlying of one of the decks, but I didn't quite know why it was here and what it was telling me. But the Seven of Wands, you can see here how, you know, this person's holding the bank and they're kind of pushing back against these ones. Significantly, there is like a little deer here as well. So it's almost like this person's pushing away these smaller crocodiles because he was the deer. So, and then the Page of Cups being again, Page of Cups being a love offer, a generous offer of friendship or support, or a new person coming into your life. So it's kind of like defending. Could be a case of someone has to defend a new person in their life, like, they have to defend. I don't know. If, say, for example, say if we're going to take that whole reading into account, and we're going to say there's somebody who perhaps was married, perhaps they married somebody because they had a child with them, they got married because they accidentally got pregnant or made someone pregnant, so they had to do the right thing and get married, and they've spent the time raising this child, and this child is now at an age where they're capable of looking after themselves, and it's kind of like my duties. Maybe they're 18, right? They're moving out, they've got their own home. So now it's like my duty's done here. I'm separating with all these nines, but I want to have this new person in my life that I'm very attracted to, and maybe people aren't going to understand, or maybe there's going to be conflict, so I'm going to have to defend my new relationship against all these people. Maybe I'm going to have to keep this secret. I can read it two ways. Either defend yourself against this person because this person's tricky, resist the attraction to this person, or it's a case of you have to defend this new love against other people because, love is our resistance. It's tricky because there's two ways to read it and I'm not getting a clear answer. But you did have the Ricky Martin song, like, do you really want it? So I don't know. I kind of want to keep digging because I'm like, I need a clearer answer for people. Like a bird. I'm like a bird. I always fly away. Tiny triumphs. Now you've got this little crow theme, like the little mouse with the little crow, the little lion with the crow. You've got the crows with the priest. Miss Sunshine, Tiny Triumphs, Miss Sunshine. That's cute. And okay, so you've got like a bird. I'm like a bird. And transformation. Like a bird in transformation. Like these winged, so it's like this girl with these winged creatures. She's got this bird by her and she's got this butterfly by her. So this feels very Gemini to me now, like especially this kind of playfulness here. Gemini energy can be kind of like a social butterfly. It can flip from one thing to another. Doesn't like to be caged, right? It likes to be free. It likes to be playful. It likes to kind of be quite light-hearted. And I mean, I'm not saying every single Gemini is like that. It depends on your full chart. But Gemini energy by itself is it's ruled by Mercury. So this mercurial energy of social and fun and playful and light-hearted. So maybe this is like keep it light. Maybe it's like don't get too serious too soon with this situation. I don't know. Right, I'm going to get you one last song to close out this reading, and hopefully it's going to make some sense to you guys. And I'm going to kind of leave it there because I need to my mouth is getting dry. I need to go and get a drink of water. What do we have, please? So like I say, Ricky Martin there, the Cup of Life. The Cup of Life. Do you really want it? Are you willing to defend this? I don't know. Tell me about the King of Wands. Irreplaceable by Beyonce. So that's a breakup song. I don't know, or maybe this person's irreplaceable. So I'm just pulling up the lyrics. Spotify's been a bit weird for me. It won't pull up the lyrics all the time. To the left, everything you own in the box to the left. In the closet, that's my stuff. If I bought it, please don't touch. And keep talking that mess, that's fine, but could you walk and talk at the same time? And it's my name that's on that jag, so move your bags, let me call you a cab. Standing in the front yard telling me how I'm such a fool, talking about how I'll never find a man like you. You got me to say, you must not know about me. I'll have another you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute, baby. You must not know about me because I can have another you by tomorrow. So don't you ever for a second get to thinking that you're irreplaceable. So go ahead. Oh, I don't know. We're back to Confessions by Usher, right? So go ahead and get gone. Call up that chick and see if she's home. Oops, I bet you thought I didn't know. What do you think I was putting you out for? Because you are untrue, rolling her around in the car that I bought you. Baby, drop them keys. I don't know. Drop them keys. Hurry up before your taxi leaves. Standing in the front yard telling me, yeah. The truth of the matter is replacing you is so easy. I won't shed one tear for you. I won't lose a wink of sleep. I don't know. I don't know about this King of Wands. I mean, if it's you, it's like you're saying this to someone else, right? Because it does feel like somebody's being single. And again, it feels like somebody, if I look at some of the readings, that the songs that came through at the start of the reading, like One Step in Front of the Other, Silver Springs, it could be you've got Waterfall there. It could be that, you know, somebody's moving on, you know? It's like the one that got away. I feel like it could be the guy that is left um missing out in this situation, because if the woman is showing up as the Empress, right, she's got it going on, you know, the Empress is highly desirable. King of Wands is great, especially in the upright, but he's not the Emperor. The Empress deserves an Emperor, and the King of Wands is just a king. So I don't know. I think the woman it might be hard to get over it, especially if she has big feelings. But I think the guy might be the one missing out in this situation. So, and that, you know, that's not a good thing, especially if this guy is responsible. Especially if this guy has, you know, if he's made a mistake, perhaps in his youth, right? Perhaps when he was younger, you know, perhaps, because like I say, the King of Wands used to be the Knight of Wands. He's got to learn self-control. He's got to learn not to be a player, right? He's got to learn to control those impulses. Like the Knight of Wands is very impulsive, a lot of fun, very impulsive. The King of Wands has control over his desires and his needs and his impulsivity and spontaneity, right? He's matured a little bit. He's not quite as much of a player as he used to be. So again, it could be that somebody's wised up a little bit, you know, somebody's, you know, some time's passed and he's, you know, matured and he's mellowed. He, you know, did the right thing, if you consider that, you know, marrying somebody because you've got them pregnant to be the right thing. I think it's depends on the situation personally. And you know, he's made his bed and he's lying in it, right? I actually did get the phrase "let sleeping dogs lie." So if the King of Wands has made his bed and he's lying in it, then you know, there's not much else for the Empress to do, being the Empress, than to say, okay, you've made your choice, I'm moving on. See you later, bro. Enjoy your bed. Enjoy your queen size bed. I'm over here getting an Empress size bed. So that's the reading. I hope that's helpful to somebody, especially if you're the Empress, right? And I'm not giving anyone a hard time here. You're like, everybody makes mistakes, everybody matures. The Empress was not born an Empress. She also had to go through those sticky phases of making mistakes and learning to be better. And I want to give the King of Wands credit where credit's due for, you know, seems like being very responsible, and actually seems to be very you know, making decisions for what they think is the right reason. And you know, if the King of Wands came out in the reverse, I'd give them a much harder time, but they are in the upright. But it doesn't seem like this relationship is happening in this lifetime. So I guess the Empress is moving on. And that is the reading. I do hope you all take care of yourselves. I do hope you all find that sunshine and you look at the glasses being half full, and you change your energy when things are out of alignment, and see what shifts and see what comes in for you. And I wish you all the best of luck. I don't know when I'm going to be back. Do take care of yourselves. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like the video, all that good stuff. But whoever this video is for, I'm sure it will find them. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye, friends.